It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. Certainly enjoyed this session so far. Um, I am going to talk to you this morning about, I'm going to start with my story, tell you a little about how I got to where I am here, and then talk about the ministry that I'm involved with. Starting with my story, before I knew what liberation was in a theological sense, I had achieved liberation. Growing up in Georgia, I was raised in a Black community. The churches I attended, the schools I attended, the neighborhoods that I lived in were all Black. Once I stepped out of that Black environment, rarely did I escape being called a nigger. It's a word we don't like to hear, but that's my history. One memorable day as I walked through a white neighborhood on my way downtown, because there were no buses and still are no buses in Thomasville, I was passed by a brand new, beautiful yellow convertible. There were 4 white teenage boys in the car. The driver passed me and then slowed down and waited for me to catch up. When I was side by side with the car, he yelled out, "Nigger bitch," and sped off. On that street, on that summer day in Thomasville, Georgia, I resolved that I would never again hear that word without retaliating. Fast forward, 1 year later, I had received a scholarship to attend the mountain school in Versa, Vermont. There were students there from various parts of the United States, as well as a few foreign countries. One day I was talking to a female student from, and I can't remember which country, it was either New Zealand or Australia, because I got the accents confused. We were having a conversation when I heard her call me nigger. Having made a promise to myself the previous year, I hit her. The school directors acted swiftly and called a school-wide meeting. The student and I were each asked to tell our version of what happened. As I spoke, I noticed we were sitting across from each other, and I noticed that she started to cry. When she spoke, it was my turn to be amazed. Because of her accent, I had misunderstood her words. She didn't call me a nigger at all. On the contrary, she was comparing me to a beloved character in her country named Niger. One letter caused me to misunderstand completely. She was crying because she had hurt my feelings. This was a moment of transition for me. Never, ever had a white person express regret for offending me. And I had most certainly never seen a white person cry because they hurt my feelings. It was the beginning of liberation for me. I admit, had 1 or 2 more physical encounters, but I would always remember that white girl who became my friend and who cried because she hurt my feelings. I was liberated from a binary world of Black and white. When I graduated from the mountain school, more and more I moved into an integrated society. I attended college at Brown University, where there was a greater mix of all races. My first corporate job was at IBM, where I dealt with people from around the country and the world. Slowly, I was to learn that not all non-Black people were like the ones that I grew up around in Thomasville, Georgia. The ministry that I work with here is Change Path ministry. The people we serve are primarily active drug users. We also support homeless residents and low-wage earners. We support people of all races, ethnicities, who are used to being shunned and avoided. We offer a place on the porch where they are welcome and there is someone actually glad to see them and to have conversation with them. We distribute snack bags and a hot meal on Wednesdays and Sundays. We offer an abbreviated religious service on Sundays. We're non-denominational ministry. We've had guest sermons from Methodists, Baptists, Muslims, and some more that I can't recall. Many of the people who frequent the ministry have been residents in traditional rehab facilities. Some completed a program while others were unable to endure the regimen. We take a different approach of helping and allowing persons to find their desire to change. We do encourage people to enter a facility, but only when they decide they are ready to go. When they make that decision, we will take them or pay transportation to send them to whatever facility they want to attend. We discovered that if a person decides on their own that now is the time, they have a much greater chance of completing the program. But not all the people we serve are regular attendants. In the past year, we started seeing people who don't normally attend food giveaways. But the combination of gentrification and the pandemic hit low-wage earners really hard. In that same period, we started going to neighborhoods in East Durham to feed people. We take bags of food to various communities where people are homeless. Food is our primary focus, but not the only one. We also give away clothes, shoes, and socks. There's a table permanently stationed on the porch where people are free to take what they need when they need it. Every winter, we have a sock drive because people who are on the street continuously go through socks really fast and need constant replenishing. Our hope for the ministry in this past, in September, we will enter the 6th year of operation. And we have started to gain a sense of stability. We're coming into our own and believing that we really are and will be a permanent part of the community. We have the support of various community churches who on occasion supply food and clothing. We have a growing roster of ministers who are ready and willing to deliver a message to the waiting congregation. This spring, we received our first grant to purchase food for the people we serve. And our most exciting event is the completion of a new house for the ministry. We're in the process of organizing a fundraiser to begin this month. Our sincere hope is to raise enough funds to pay the mortgage of the house this year. We can then focus on raising money for meal programs and establishing ongoing workshops for the community as well as regular participants. We have the audacity to believe that if God brought us this far, He'll see us through to the end. Now, I can talk about the impact that I've had on Change Path Ministry, but on a more personal level, I'd like to leave you with the impact that Change Path Ministry has had on me. I discerned a call to this type of ministry before I even knew what it was. How is that possible, you might ask? Well, the first time I talked to ministers at my home church, which is Mount Level, the minister asked me what area of ministry I intended to pursue. Immediately, I said outreach. I then went home and had to look up what that meant because I had no idea what outreach was. I realized then that the Holy Spirit had forced that word out of my mouth because that was the area where I was being assigned. And I was to learn that when God speaks, it's as good as done. On my first internship at the Divinity School, I worked with the Baptist Church in Roxborough. There I had an opportunity to meet the district attorney as he was in the process of developing a plan for a ministry that would go into low-income neighborhoods to spread the love of Jesus. I worked with him on that ministry for 2.5 years, never anticipating that it was preparation for the ministry I'm with now. I was invited to stay on at the church in Roxborough as an associate minister, and I left that church only to join the newly formed Change Paths Ministry here in Durham. Here was an opportunity to work closely with people as they confronted their demons. Here was a chance to share my story with persons one-on-one who felt unworthy, who felt unloved even by God. Most importantly, here was a chance to respond to the call that God had placed on my life. I had run from it long enough. Now was the time to answer. I find joy in doing this difficult work because I know that God had faith enough in me to hire me for the job. My goal is to live up to the motto of the ministry, of Change Path Ministry. Our motto is meeting you on your current path, walking with you to your crossroads, and standing with you as you choose a new path. It is sometimes a painful experience, but I consider it joy to do what God has done for me. Thank you.